on NBC's to the University of Mary Marauder Athletics all season long. Football, basketball, volleyball, and more. You'll see it right here on Marauders Weekly.
Welcome to Marauders Weekly, everyone. I'm Marissa DiCandido. We're in between the fall and winter sports season. Basketball and wrestling will really start to pick up in the next few weeks. But before we get into that, let's have a little bit of a fall sports recap. Here to talk about that is Athletic Director Roger Thomas. So, Roger, thanks so much for joining us today on the show. Well, let's start out with men's and women's soccer. This year, men finished 5-9-2 overall, women 6-8-4. And we were talking a little bit before the show that both teams had a lot of young talent that will be returning next year. So what do you really see for the future of these two teams?
Well, both teams play. We play women's in the Northern Sun, and the men are in the Great Northwest Conference, and they're both really tough. They send teams to the nationals. They've been national champs out of those leagues in the past, so we really have very tough competition. But we were close. I think we had very good individual talent, young talent, as you said. So I think we just got to stick with it and just keep recruiting more top talent. More depth probably will help us to compete if you compete in these leagues, you're competing at the national level. That's the challenge.
And a lot of good local kids too, for both men's and women's. Had a couple of kids on the team from the Bismarck area or from North Dakota. How does that help, especially with the fans coming out to the soccer games and everything like that?
Oh, for sure. And the high school soccer around the area has been very good, both men's and women's, and I think we'll continue to do that. There's talent here this year that we'll be recruiting, so I think obviously continue to do that, and it's just great for fan support, and it just adds a lot more interest to the game.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on to the volleyball team. They struggled a little bit this year, but had a new head coach, Thais Franca, step up into that position midway through the season. What did you see from her in regards to the leadership on the team?
Well, I think she did a very nice job in a pretty tough situation. I think our young ladies in the second half of the season played better volleyball. I mean, I'm no great volleyball coach, but I really thought that they played better. And again, it's the same deal. The competition there with the schools in our league dominating the region and playing nationally, and some national champs in our league. We just really have to continue to try to, again, recruit the top talent and more depth, and I think then we can compete. But I think they showed some improvement as the year went on.
A lot of tough competition in the Northern Sun for volleyball. Definitely some last year's national champion, like you said, it's very, very tough. But the cross country team this year, they had a very strong year, especially on the women's side. They got up to being ranked 22nd nationally, and now Lexi Zeiss, a freshman, will be competing at the nationals. So, Mary has a pretty strong reputation in track and field and running. What did you see from the cross-country team this year?
Well, just this past weekend, yesterday, they ran very well. They finished, I think it was 6th in the women and 16th with the men. I hope I'm not misquoting that.
No, you're right.
But but just, again, young people, you look at a freshman going to the nationals, that's got to be the thrill of a lifetime for her. And then to think what her future might be. And there were several other young runners on our team. So it's just part of the cycle. Last year, of course, we cycled way up with a national champ. I mean, that was fantastic. So every year is a little bit of a different story, and it's back out on the road recruiting, and then hoping these young men and women will develop and will continue the great tradition that we've had in cross country and then in track and field, both indoor and outdoors, coming up too.
Well, speaking of development, football this year, a lot of seniors who were pretty key to the team are graduating, but we saw a lot of redshirt freshmen and some younger guys really step up throughout the season on the football team. What do you see for development on that team?
Well, the football team, I thought, had a good, solid season. I think the hard part for them, of course, was to overcome the injuries. You can't. You take your quarterback out or take Grant Singer out, who is the defensive player of the year for chunks of the season. It's really hard to compete because there's such a fine line. You look at the scores and you see how close the games were. So the big thing is, of course, let's keep recruiting more and better players and keep them healthy. It's probably a key factor in it as well. And I just think there's a great young base. I think people on the campus and around town are excited about our new coaching staff. And I really think that given a chance to recruit and to continue to do what they started out to do this year, I think we can look forward to some really, really positive things for the football guys.
Well, you have a little bit of experience with coaching some football. So with this new coaching staff, what do you see from them from that perspective, from the coaching perspective?
Well, I thought they did a great job. And again, there were times in the season when you scratch your head with the injuries and so on, losing the close games. It was really a frustrating year in some ways, but also a very positive year. You look at all the guys that made all conference, at L.B. Pope and some other guys. I really thought that they did a great job. And I've spent a lot of time with Coach Kotelnick. When I was coaching, he played for me, so we go way back. So we've talked some football, and I think he's got a great grasp. He really enjoys his staff, and we do too. I really think they'll be just fine, I think, under his leadership. I'm looking forward to the next season or two with those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one other big thing, I think, this year with all the fall sports was we saw a lot of community outreach and different service projects and things like that. And I know University of Mary had their first day of service where all the students were involved with that. But what have you guys been doing as an athletic department to kind of have the student athletes do more of that community outreach and everything?
Well, that has always been such an emphasis at a place like UMary. I mean, servant leadership is one of our buzzwords. And for us to serve and lead and do things on campus and in town, excuse me, have really been a real important part of what we do. And this year was no exception with the day of service. I think it got more people involved. But we do all of those things. I mean, we just won an award in the athletic department for long-term service to Special Olympics. They hold a bowling tournament in town, and all our athletes show up and work with the special athletes. And the first day of school with the elementary schools were all, and I was included. It was really fun to be at the front door of a school and see all the young students come to town. So our student athletes, it's kind of ingrained in them. It's ingrained in our school, and we're very, very proud of that. And I think those will be some of the great memories our athletes will take away from the institution, far removed from athletics, but just getting to know people and serving in many ways.
Well, congratulations on that award for the athletic department, and thank you so much for joining me today on Marauders Weekly. Well, speaking of football, don't go anywhere. We will have 3 of the 4 senior captains coming up to talk about the season and give out some player superlatives, so it should be a lot of fun. Don't go anywhere.
Dreams deserve a lifetime of protection because dreams don't come true. Dreams are made true.
And I will do it for you.
We want your family to be at its best on Moms Every Day. We'll show you the ways your whole entire family can make a difference in your community. You'll meet a family that has made volunteering a priority. Plus, don't feel guilty about indulging in a traditional Thanksgiving meal. We'll show you how nutritious this meal can be, and we're putting the thanks back in Thanksgiving. It's all on Moms Every Day.
Download SyncBack on your iPhone, iPad, and Android devices to stream our newscasts live. Go to KFYRTV.com to learn more about SyncBack today. KFYR TV, keeping up with technology to keep you informed.
Welcome to Marauders Weekly. Well, the football season is over, and for the seniors, that means the end of their playing time at UMary. So here to talk about this past season are 3 of the 4 football captains and seniors. We got Grant Singer, Nick Jolliffe, and L.B. Pope here. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Well, what kind of tone did you guys want to set as captains this year? I think every group of captains probably has a different outlook or mindset on what they really want to do for the team. What was your guys' goal?
I think the biggest thing was we knew us 4, we had to be the leaders, but the thing is we had to kind of be the leaders on the field and off the field. You know, we had to go out there every day and practice, and we had to practice like we played, and then kind of off the field, and we had to be more of a vocal leader, make sure guys are, you know, doing the right kind of things, and I think us 4, we did a great job of that, and add a little more fun to it this year. I feel like, you know, it made the guys a lot more relaxed.
That always helps to kind of make it fun when you guys have such an intense season going on. I noticed that this year you guys always brought out a red flag before the game, and that was what you guys were carrying when you ran out onto the field. What's the significance behind the flag?
We've always actually carried the red flag. It's just to never surrender. As you can see, you know, we had to come back in a couple games in the fourth quarter, even if we lost a game, but we always, you know, we're taught to never give up and always give our best. And on the flag, we wrote a couple names down, you know, or they had a couple kids that come out to the practices that wrote their name on the flag, just to never surrender on their fight for whatever they're battling, if it's cancer or anything like that. So.
Nice. All right, well, what kind of legacy do you think that your guys' senior class left on the Marauders and on the football team this year?
I think the biggest thing for our class is probably just the way that we worked. We worked really hard throughout our seasons, the 5 years that we put in there. Our freshman year actually is when our strength coach, Mike Silbernagel, came in the spring, and so I think he taught us a lot through the stuff that he showed us how to lift actually and do those sorts of things. So I think the biggest thing, the legacy that we left, is just to work hard. Not everything's given to you, and I think that's kind of what we left at the University of Mary, is just to always work hard.
Well, you mentioned you guys put in 5 years of work with the football team, so I don't know if any other Marauders Weekly's hosts have done this in the past, but I thought it might be funny, since you guys have been there for a while, you guys know the team really well, to do some kind of football superlatives so people can get to know the guys off the field too. So came up with a list before the show. I had them look over it and pick out some names from the team. So let's get started. First one, who is the biggest nerd or the most studious on the team?
I'm definitely going to have to say Michael Mortensen. He plays offensive tackle. He just, every time you talk to him and everything you do, he's always, everything he says kind of just goes over your head. He's always smart. But yeah, every time I talk to him, I feel like I'm just lost in his conversations. So I would say he's just the biggest nerd, biggest studious, just kind of knows what he's talking about. We always call him the old man because he kind of looks like an old man a little bit. He's already balding and stuff. But so I think he's past us in knowledge, and so that's why I would say he's the most studious and biggest nerd.
I don't think a lot of people realize how smart offensive linemen have to be. They really have to know their stuff. So, all right, well, that's a good one. Now, who would be the most likely to almost miss the bus to an away game?
We actually had a guy miss a bus. Darius Gravely. He, what was it, 2 years ago? He missed the bus, and we're all calling him, you know, where you at, where you at, you know, and he never answered. You know, we left him so many voicemails, and we actually, coach was like, let's go, we're leaving, you know, and we left him. He called us a little later, you know, and saying that he was sleeping in his car. We didn't know. He's like, I just wanted to go to. He told us that he was going to go sleep with Myron and Tyler in their room, and then he was going to make the bus in the morning. Ended up sleeping in his car and missing the bus in the morning and getting to the game with a coach. You know, one of the coaches would luckily stayed behind, and he traveled with the coach down there. He's like, well, I got a free meal, and I still got to play. So.
Nice. All right. Who is the best dressed on the team?
I think it's pretty obvious when you look at our team that the best dressed would have to be our tight end, Zach Podel. And I can speak for most of the team. He's obviously the best looking on our team as well. But yeah, every day he's got that great look, kind of that swagger look, the hipster kind of look going. And just being a great looking guy he is with those vocals he has, it's pretty obvious that he's the best dressed.
I did notice that when he came on the show, he had like earrings in and stuff. Yes, very stylish. Yeah.
His hair is really important to him. He's always looking in the mirror, looking at that. So.
All right, who is the life of the party on the team?
Zach Roberson is the life of the party. Coming into meetings, practice, he's always, let's go, you know. The guy to try to get everybody pumped up, you know, and even if you're just hanging out with him, you know, he's trying to be the guy, you know, the go-to, you know. He's a funny guy. He's a great guy. He's one of my roommates, you know. But I'd have to say Zach Roberson.
I feel like you kind of have to be the life of the party if you're the quarterback. You know, it's kind of like comes with the role there. Yeah. Who is the biggest teddy bear on the team? The guy who seems really tough but is actually a huge softie.
I actually wish he was here. He's our other captain, Troy Gubtail. When you look at that guy and when you see him, what he can do in the weight room, you just think this is the scariest individual you'll ever meet. But when you sit down and talk with him, it's the totally opposite. And he's actually a great guy, really soft-spoken. He's very funny. But yeah, he looks like a gorilla, and he kind of like a little chimpanzee.
Nice. Okay, who is the most likely to become a millionaire?
Adam Warnetsky. There's a lot of guys probably on our team that'll, I don't know, maybe become millionaires. Hopefully I know all of them when that happens and I'm still in contact with them. But Adam's looking to going into dental school, and so I don't know. I think he'll become a millionaire through that, and hopefully I'm still in contact with him when that happens. So
nice. All right, who should have their own reality show?
This is actually one of my roommates, Patrick Ryan, linebacker for us, but he's kind of like a mixture of Duck Dynasty, Swamp People, and Bear Grylls all in one. He is just kind of all over the place, that big outdoorsman, but yeah, sometimes he just yells those really weird, out of nowhere kind of things. And then, yeah, just living with him, he's just a very outdoorsy kind of guy that if you follow him around, it could be entertaining.
Yeah, okay. meetings are definitely entertaining with Matt. I can say there's a lot of different things that he said that just, I don't know, I question about sometimes. So.
All right, who is the funniest guy on the team?
There's a couple, actually.
They're looking at.
But one of them, Nick Jolliffe, he's, you know, every time we come into meetings, he's always coming in weird. He's got a weird walk, or he's got something weird to say. Him and his brother. And he doesn't get on our nerves or anything like that with it, and it's sarcastic, but it's hilarious, Sometimes even in a huddle, he's like, all right, guys, let's go get this thing. He says it in a weird way, just makes it really funny. Everything he says makes it funny, as you can see, obviously.
Yeah, and then I would say we've got to get a defensive player in there too, Troy Guptill got another nomination here, but he's just, I don't know, he's one interesting guy. He's very sarcastic, and a lot of times you don't know if he's serious or not when he says something, but most things he says are just sarcastic, and he's going to tell a joke at any moment. So, yeah, he's one of the funniest guys I've probably been around too.
He's got a weird humor.
Yeah.
Really weird.
That usually makes people the funniest when they have that kind of humor. Who is the most likely to get in trouble with the coaches?
Preston Tesher. My safety on the defensive side of the ball. He's I don't know. First off, he dresses sometimes like he could probably just get in trouble. He's always got like this stocking cap on and just kind of walks around like a thug almost a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes he pushes the coaches a little bit, and I don't know. I could just see him being one of the guys to get in trouble most with the coaches because I don't know, he kind of does his own thing sometimes too.
Especially on the field. Sometimes you always see him doing that.
Oh, yeah. Every time.
Lights out.
All right, last one, guys. Who is the nicest guy on the team?
This is pretty obvious. It's our boy Grant here. Being an All-American linebacker, you would never think that, but watching Grant out there just destroy some kids, help them up, and then ask them to be a Facebook friend. I think it's pretty obvious that Grant's got to be the nicest. But on a serious note, very influential on a lot of guys, and he did a great job being such a great player. But for how he took after the game and everything, it was pretty awesome.
Nice.
I never got any of those Facebook friend requests accepted. They never wanted to be my friend.
Well, when you beat them up on the field, they're not going to want to be your friend. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming on today. I will say this was a really great senior class. I really enjoyed interviewing you guys, getting to know you guys. So we'll miss you next year on Marauders Weekly. But don't go anywhere. Coming up, we'll have a look at the wrestling team this year. Their season's already started. They got a couple tournaments in, and we'll have those results coming up.
It's a great big world, and it can all be yours. Here and only here.
The damage could have been a whole lot worse.
When breaking news happened where you live, where was KFYR TV? We were here with live coverage and continuous reports, keeping you up to date. When severe weather threatened your neighborhood, where was KFYR TV?
Watch the general movement of this storm.
We were here helping protect you and your family. When your team played in the big game, we were here, bringing you the scores and highlights.
And that is the final.
Where was KFYR TV? Right here for you.
Welcome back to Marauders Weekly. The University of Mary cross country team is still in action. They were in Wayne, Nebraska this weekend for the NCAA Central Region Championships. The men finished 16th overall. Senior Nathan Inkman paced the way, finishing 63rd. And sophomore Thomas Neal finished 70th and Stephen Gordon 71st. Augustana came in first on the men's side. And for the women, They finished 6th overall. Lexi Zeiss was the top finisher in 4th place, so she qualifies for the Nationals on December 6th in Louisville, Kentucky. Congratulations to Lexi. Well, the University of Mary wrestling team may be young now, but they have a lot of potential, and both coaches and the wrestlers say in the future this team will definitely be a force to be reckoned with. In the meantime, strong senior leadership is helping those guys develop into top collegiate wrestlers. The U Mary wrestling team is hitting the mat this year with only 2 seniors, but that's not really a concern for the Marauders.
What I really like about our team is we're pretty scrappy, and in the wrestling world we kind of use that as a positive term. Their guys are young, and outside of our 2 seniors on the team, they're going out there with no fear, and they're going out there to wrestle hard. And as long as they're doing that, they're going to learn.
They're already learning from wrestling against some of the best in the country. In the first 4 tournaments, they faced wrestlers from Minnesota, NDSU, and other Division I schools.
That's what's nice about wrestling, like the Minnesotas and NDSUs and SDSU guys. They are very tough, and if we can hang with them, then we're on the right track.
Besides getting experience against strong competition, the senior leadership of John DeVito and Hunter Menendez is helping the team adjust to wrestling at the collegiate level.
The biggest thing is the physicality. Like college kids, they go out there and it's a grind, you're gonna fight.
Coach Aho says Menendez and DeVito have stepped up in their last year and are wrestling better than ever.
It's just senior year. I mean, can't hold anything back. There's no fear, and I know it's my last chance of going out there and doing what I want.
I want to just set a good example and lead our team so we can be as good as we possibly can be.
But both say their legacy doesn't end this year. They're excited to see where this team can go.
We have a lot of young, really good wrestlers, mature, I think, into great wrestlers. I mean, this is going to be a really good team in the future.
I think confidence is such a huge thing. Like, it took me a little bit to understand what I'm comfortable with and what I'm confident in. And once our young team finds that confidence, then it's gonna be scary to see. And I can't wait to look back in like 2-3 years and see what I kind of started.
And with a list of top recruits from around the country coming in next year, the U Mary wrestling team has a bright future. Well, 3 commits that Coach Aho announced this week are Jonathan Pilak, Joshua Jensen, and Tate Barnhart. Pilak is from Sartell, Minnesota. Jensen is from Payson, Utah. He won the Utah State Championship in his weight class in 2013. And Barnhart is a name that many North Dakotans will recognize. The St. Mary standout has a 78-12 record, won the Class A West region and state tournament at 126 pounds last season, and also was named an All-American in 2013. Well, the last 2 weeks, the Marauders have competed in a few open tournaments. At the Dakota Wesleyan Open, John DeVito finished in the top 6 in the 197-pound weight class. And this weekend, they were in Moorhead for the Cobber Open. Alec Lindsay finished 6th in 141. Riley Nagel also finished 6th in 165 in the gold division. And Tom DeVito finished 3rd in the maroon division in the 285-pound weight class. Well, coming up after the break, it's basketball season. We have men's and women's highlights, plus this week's Meet a Marauder.
In the pocket, 5 seconds of protection is enough. But dreams deserve a lifetime of protection. Guard your dream against the unexpected.
Attention hunters, Red Wing Shoe Store is your footwear headquarters. You can buy boots anywhere, but the truth is, there's only one store that offers you more widths and sizes, and that's Red Wing Shoes. Our Irish Setter Field boots are guaranteed to fit great and be waterproof. Buy Irish Setter boots by Red Wing, and right now we'll take $20 off your Irish Setter purchase. Give your feet what they demand. Irish Setter boots from Red Wing Shoe Store, 6th and Broadway, downtown Bismarck.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, the Marauders women's basketball team lost a major presence down low last year, but senior Sloan Turner has already stepped up in the post this season, recording a double-double in the 2nd game of the year. And we have more about Sloan, the California native, in this week's Meet a Marauder.
I just kind of closed my eyes and ran through it. So I tried not to focus too much on the fact that it was negative 60-degree wind chill, and the coldest I've ever been in before that was maybe 45 degrees. So it was a little difficult, but it's okay. My go-to karaoke song? I'm a terrible singer, but I'm gonna go Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On. St. Patrick's Day, my mom's like half Irish, so we like make Irish soda bread on St. Patrick's Day and eat like corned beef and cabbage, so it's my favorite. Like the 1950s, just because their cars were like the coolest thing ever, so maybe back then, and like I live in a beach community, so like 1950s back then, it was like all surfboards, like the Beach Boys would go there and stuff, so that'd be cool. I'm like a movie buff, so it's like really difficult to choose just one. The time being, I'm gonna say The Dark Knight probably, and why? I don't know, I think Christopher Nolan is like a genius, and I love how it took like a darker look at Batman and stuff. It would probably be like, Mahatma Gandhi probably, something like that. Martin Luther King maybe. I probably wouldn't go with like a celebrity. Someone who's made like a huge difference in the world that we look at today. So. Listen to music while in the heating room basically is all I do. I'm not really one of those talkative people before a game. I'm usually headphones in, reading the scouting report. So. I love the players and I love the coaching staff. So I like the community as well. It was fun.
Marauders women's team has had 4 games this past week. They lost a close one to Valley City State on Wednesday 54-52, then hosted Canadian Mennonite 2 days in a row where they won big both times. Every player on the roster scored in the first game, and Gabby Wilkinson, the freshman from Shiloh Christian, had 21 points in the second. And today, the Marauders hosted Nebraska Kearney in their 3rd straight home game. So in this one, early on, Hannah Larson gets the block there. She's going to take it up the floor, finds Brittany Dietz wide open under the basket, who puts it up and in and one. She puts it up, makes it 6-2 U Mary. But the Lopers answer right away. Laramie Lewis gets the ball in the lane, stops, pops, puts it in. 6-4 Marauders still lead. Lewis had 15 points on the day. Sloan Turner, though, doing work in the paint, gets the ball in the post, goes up to the right side. 10-7 Marauders. Turner had 11 points, but it wouldn't be enough. Nebraska Kearney wins this one 94-84. Brittany Dietz 31 points, and Hannah Larson was just 1 rebound away from a double-double. Well, the men's team was also in action this week. They hosted NAIA cross-state foe Dickinson State on Monday night. It's the first time the teams have met up since 2006. The Marauders were 1-0 coming off a decisive victory going into this game. Mackinson O'Denier, though, early on backs up Isaac Lindquist. He finished the game with 18 points, but the Marauders, they'd come down right away. Q Edwards drives down the lane for a nice bucket to put the Marauders up. The Blue Hawks down 3 now. Curtis Red is going to get this one on the wing, takes it to the hole, switches hands midair, beautiful shot, cuts the Marauders lead to 1 at 10-9. Now it's U Mary's turn to show off a little bit. Devin Douglas with the nice spin move around in the lane, up and in to give the Marauders a 14-13 lead. He finished with 14 points on the night. It wouldn't be enough, though, as U Mary falls to DSU 81-75. Q Edwards, though, in that game with 19 points. The men had some other games this week, too. They were out at St. Catherine College, where in that game they beat them big time, 81-43. All 12 Marauders who played got some points. But yesterday they fell to Point Loma Nazarene 92-75. Brian Jefferson, though, finishing with a nice double-double, 25 points, 10 rebounds in that game. Well, thank you so much for joining me today on Marauders Weekly. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for watching Marauders Weekly. Join us next Sunday as we showcase more Marauders athletics from home and away in Marauders Weekly, exclusively on NBC North Dakota Sports.